If you've ever wished your kids and teens could get more out of General Conference and that you could too because you could hear it, then today you're going to love these 5 simple tips for helping kids and teens hear Him during General Conference. Hi, I'm Jamie Knapp, and welcome to the channel where quick insights and tips make raising kids in the gospel so much easier and a lot more fun. Today we're going to be talking about 5 simple ways that you can help your kids and teens get more out of General Conference so that they can not just hear the people speaking, but actually hear the Lord and the revelation they need in their lives. Tip number 1 is to let go of the belief that your spouse and kids should pay attention. This was a game changer for me. I remember so many times sitting on the couch and being frustrated because my kids were being loud. They were running downstairs. They were running outside. My spouse was falling asleep. And then 2 hours later, I'd fall asleep and thinking, we're supposed to be hearing the prophet right now. We're supposed to be hearing the word of the Lord. The problem with that is when I would get frustrated with them, it would chase the spirit out of our home. They wouldn't hear him, and neither would I, because I was not in a space spiritually where I could hear the Spirit. Now, the big question is, do I make my kids sit on the couch and listen for 8 hours? No, I don't. And the reason is this: every kid learns in different ways. And if you're interested in learning more about the different spiritual learning styles of kids and teens, be sure to check the description below. I'll be linking a class that I'm going to be doing on that. But every child learns differently, and some kids will learn next to nothing if you make them sit quietly on the couch and listen. Because of that, I allow my kids to do things. If they want to play blocks on the floor, great. If they want to go outside and they need a break, I let them do that too. But the thing is, the snacks are where conference is, and I don't let them watch other TV or screens throughout the house. Conference is on everywhere, but they're welcome to go do what they want. Generally, they come back to conference more than not because that's where the family is, that's where the good feelings are, and let's face it, that's where the food is too. Tip number 2 is to prepare. Focus on creating a place they feel good and want to be. This is probably my favorite tip because when my son was about 9 years old, he came up to me one day just before General Conference and he said, "You know what I just realized, Mom? Sometimes General Conference is actually pretty boring, but I like it anyway." And at that moment, I realized that we had succeeded in doing what I wanted to do. We created an environment where he felt good during General Conference. He looked forward to it. He wanted to be there. And as he grows and matures, he'll get more out of the messages. But if he learns to hate conference, he never will. The important part is that he was learning to love General Conference, and that love and openness and anticipation for it would help him get the messages he needed to later in his life. And along the way, I'm guessing he got a few now too. Some of the things we did to help prepare were, of course, snacks. It's all about the food, right? Now, did I spend hours laboring away? No. I just made things a little special. We had things that we didn't have all the time. We made eggs and sausage and put a sheet out on the floor and let everyone eat there on the floor with paper plates so I wasn't in the kitchen all day. We did things like buying sugar cereal, which I don't do, so that they could have something special that they could look forward to. We also bought some little treats. We bought goldfish crackers that I also don't normally buy, just some things that were fun. Didn't spend much money, but just some things to make it special. If your kids have a hard time being quiet or they're arguing, try to remember that the big thing that we're focusing on here is to try to have conference be a time when they feel loved, when they feel accepted, and they feel like they belong. If they can feel those good feelings, then it will be so much easier for them to feel the Spirit. Even if they're fighting over the snacks or arguing with their sibling, and if you can create moments where they feel the Spirit, they will learn more in the long run. Tip number 3 is to make it more fun to listen with intention. If you've never been bored during General Conference, well, High five to you. But most human beings will let their attention wander after hour 8 of listening to something. So recognize that having something that will help engage your kids and help listening be more fun can be super helpful. One of the things I have found works best for my younger kids at encouraging them to listen, even if it's only for a little while, is conference squares. And I will put a link to that in the newsletter, and you can check out how to get that in the description below. Now, for older kids and teens, that can be not as engaging. So I have a very fun activity that is for teens that not only encourages them to listen for the messages shared, but guides them in learning how to listen to the messages the Spirit is telling them. It's a fantastic activity, and that will be in the newsletter as well. Tip number 4 is to lead by example. One of those paydays for me as a mom was when my teenager stood up in testimony meeting at church and said, when I was younger, I used to think that sitting on the couch and listening to a bunch of old men talk was the most boring thing I could possibly do. But as I watched my parents, I decided to try what they do. And I got a notebook out and I started writing down things that they said and things that came to my mind. And I actually get a lot out of conference right now, and I really enjoy it. That for me was a huge payday because that is what I want for my kids more than anything. I don't care if they listen to all 8 hours of conference every year of their lives. What I do care about is that they learn to value conference, that they learn to hear the Spirit of the Lord so that they will come to look forward to conference and hear the messages heaven needs them to know. Tip number 5 is to expect personal revelation. Elder Robert D. Hales said something very important regarding General Conference. He said, I promise that if you will listen, you will feel the Spirit well up within you. The Lord will tell you what He wants you to do with your life. In conferences, we can receive the word of the Lord meant just for us. It's an important promise and one that we can absolutely expect to receive. So while you're listening to conference, be sure to have a notebook there so you can jot down those answers that the Lord does give you. Be listening and ready to receive answers and direction that will guide you and your family during the next 6 months.